Hello everyone! Today I am in Morrisburg, Ontario, and I'm going to take you on a tour of the Crysler Farm battlefield, which is a National Historic Site here in Morrisburg, Ontario. Let's go check it out. So, directly in front of me is the memorial building, and there are a few other interesting features that I'll be able to show you here as well, and then we will walk up the hill and look at the memorial. All right, let's go check this out. Okay, so first I'm going to just read you this sign. So the Battle of Crysler Farm, 1813. In November 1813, an American army of some 8,000 men, commanded by Major General James Wilkinson, moved down the St. Lawrence en route to Montreal. Wilkinson was followed and harassed by a British corps of observation consisting of about 800 regulars, militia, and Indians, commanded by Lieutenant Colonel Joseph Morrison. On November 11th, Morrison's force established in a defensive position on John Crysler's farm was attacked by a contingent of the American army numbering about 4,000 men, commanded by Brigadier General J.P. Boyd. The hard-fought engagement ended with the Americans' withdrawal from the battlefield. This reverse, combined with the defeat of another invading army at Chateauguay on October 26, saved Canada from conquest in 1813. Okay, so there is a visitor center here where you can learn more historical information. But first, just wanted to show you this cannon. So, the War of 1812 light 6-pounder gun. This is a replica of a typical 6-pounder muzzle loading gun. Guns were measured by the weight of the solid shot they fired, as used both by British and U.S. artillery in the War of 1812 at the Battle of Crysler Farm. Made out of cast iron, bronze was also used extensively by both sides for guns of this size. Bore size is 3.66 inches. It had a range of 1,200 yards with solid shot and 300 yards with grape or canister shot with a firing rate of 2 or 3 rounds a minute. It was drawn by 406 horses hitched to a 2-wheeled limber, which doubled as a munitions wagon. A gun crew consisted of up to 50 men plus horses, riders, and handlers. This gun was made possible in part by donation from the Friends of the Crysler Farm Battlefield and a grant from Heritage Canada in 2013 in recognition of the 200th anniversary of the Battle of Crysler Farm that took place on November 11th, 1813, on the Castleman, Luke's, Federley, Atkinson's, Haynes, and Books farms. Right, I'll just give you a better look at it. And just a quick peek, we're going to be going up there later. That is where the memorial is. Let's first explore this. So don't miss coming in here. So, in grateful memory of the brilliant service and gallant conduct of Lieutenant Colonel Joseph W. Morrison of the 89th Regiment of Foot, officer commanding the victorious British and Canadian forces at Crysler Farm, November 11th, 1813. Okay, on this wall it says British Court of Honor. It's really beautiful, peaceful in here. So the St. Lawrence Parks Commission gratefully acknowledges the outstanding contribution of the Friends of the Crysler Farm battlefield to the preservation and promotion of the nationally significant military engagement fought on November 11th, 1813 in a muddy farmer's field beside the St. Lawrence River. The Battle of Crysler's Farm marked the end of the most serious American attempt to conquer Canada during the War of 1812. With the help of the Friends, the Battlefield Memorial Building was reopened in 1998. A dedicated group of volunteers, the Friends, have created renewed interest in the battle and its presentation to the Canadian people. It is thanks to this vision and successful fundraising efforts that the building is staffed, maintained, and opened to the public during the main tourism season. Since 2000, the Friends have been instrumental in sponsoring the yearly Military Reenactment Weekend, which has become Eastern Ontario's foremost living history event and which attracts hundreds of reenactors and thousands of visitors to the site. The group's aim is to continue its partnership with the St. Lawrence Parks Commission towards a common goal of rejuvenating the Battlefield Memorial Building, the Memorial Mound, and the surrounding grounds. This plaque was presented to the Friends on November 11, 2005 in recognition of their untiring commitment to raise awareness of the Battle of Crysler's Farm and the vital role it played in the history of Canada. All right, let's go inside. In the British Army, by the time of the War of 1812, only officers, sergeants, and cavalrymen carried swords, while the man on horseback would have used his handheld blade as his principal weapon, and infantrymen found the bayonet fixed to the end of his musket, much more functional when closing with the enemy. Infantry officers carried their swords largely as a badge of their office. Sheath and trade knife reproduction. Neck knives carried in sheaths decorated with porcupine quills, dyed various colors, were often worn by native warriors. This eastern Great Lakes sheath was crafted by modern artist Brent Boyd. The knife is an excellent reproduction of an early English trade knife. The powder horn contained black powder used in muzzle-loading firearms. They were generally used by civilians and natives. Upper Canada Village Collection. Bullet mound. The bullet mounds have melted lead poured into them from a ladle to make musket or rifle balls. And the war club. The ball-headed war club was a very common weapon used by the Iroquois. Some clubs has a metal spike at the ball end. Right, show you one more time. The Indian pattern musket, bayonet, and ball displayed here are typical of the long arms and ammunition that were standard issue to British troops in this period. Although this weapon was easy to care for and quick to load, it misfired occasionally and was accurate only at close range, about 100 meters. For the infantrymen engaged in battle, his firepower was most effective when standing shoulder to shoulder with his comrades, firing a volley all at once. At the Battle of Crysler Farm, where the constant loading and firing of the British Thin Red Line was particularly disciplined, this had a potent effect on the facing enemy troops. Okay, there's more. So Major General Wade Hampton, American Army of about 4,000 troops, crossed into Lower Canada on October 21st. They were part of a pincer movement on Mount Real. Wilkinson's army coming down the St. Lawrence River was the other part. Standing in Hampton's way were about 1,800 men under the command of Lieutenant Colonel Charles Michael Drumberry de Salaberry. The Canadian officer had his force divided into 5 lines of defense along the Chateauguay River. On the night of October 25th, part of the American Army attempted a night march to attack the rear of the Canadian position. By daylight on the 26th, they were nowhere near their objective. They soon were engaged by Canadian militia and native warriors and would eventually withdraw to rejoin the rest of the army. Meanwhile, the remaining part of the Hampton's army was stopped cold when it attacked the first line of Salaberry's defense. When this attack failed, Hampton ordered a retreat, leaving the Canadian victorious on the battlefield. Hampton ordered his army back across the border into New York and would take no more part in the fall campaign. The second prong of the American advance on Montreal ended in failure. There's a map. While the main American army under Major General James Wilkinson halted at Cook's Tavern on November 10th, Brigadier General Jacob Brown continued to march east with a detachment of about 2,600 men along the King's Highway. His intentions were to clear the north shore beside the treacherous Long Sault Rapids of British and Canadian troops and to capture Cornwall, which was full of military supplies and provisions. About 11 miles west of Cornwall, Brown discovered the bridge across Cripple Creek, destroyed in about 300 troops of the 1st Stormont and 2nd Glengarry Regiments under Major James Dennis of the 49th Regiment waiting for them. A short battle ensued in which Brown's troops outflanked the Upper Canadian militia, forcing them to retreat. This action slowed down Brown's advance, and the Americans were not able to reach Cornwall till the following day. This delay was important as it allowed the military stores and provisions to be loaded onto 150 wagons and rolled out of Cornwall for St. Andrews and then to McMartin's Mill, keeping them safe out of American hands. The American army that came down to St. Lawrence River in November of 1813 was large by War of 1812 standards. It numbered over 7,300 men, which included infantry, artillery, and dragoons. Transporting the army were over 300 boats of various types guided by river pilots, many who were Canadian. At the Battle of Crysler's Farm, only about 3,000 American soldiers took part in the engagement, as 2,600 troops were with Brigadier General Brown in Cornwall, and many others were sick. Among the sick was the Army's commander, Major General James Wilkinson. The British and Canadian forces under Lieutenant Colonel Joseph Morris since numbered fewer than 1,200 men. This force was primarily British regulars from the 49th and 89th Regiments, as well as some Royal Artillery. The Canadians included troops from the Canadian Fencibles, Voltigeurs, Provincial Light Dragoons, and nearby a detachment of Dundas militia. In addition, there were approximately 30 Mohawk and Mississauga warriors. Right. Let's go in more.
Next day, General Floyd landed 4,000 men.
Lights up.
But on the evening of the 10th, Morrison was meeting with his officers in John Crysler's Park, less than 2 miles from Cook's Tavern, where Wilkinson waited news from Brown. The die was cast. If the Americans could be provoked into attacking on ground which favored the Redcoats, the British would stand and fight. And better might not be found. At the corner, heavy snake rail fences lined the road from the highway to the wooded swamp a half-mile long. To the east stretched a quarter-mile of flat level field. Beyond that, cloudland, cut by 2 sharp gullies and terminating in a steep ravine. Morrison knew this was his place and his chance. And so, on that cold, wet dawn, the British had already chosen their ground. Their main body, perhaps 600 men, was waiting behind the fenced road. A half-mile to the fore, Pearson commanded 2 companies of the 49th, fewer than 50 Canadian fencibles, and 1 of the 3 British guns. A strong position, with the river on his right, a gully to his front, and his left covered by 3 companies of the 89th and a 2nd gun. Nearly a mile in front of the main body,
There's a whole bunch of
French
hats.
Canadian voltigeurs had gone to ground, almost invisible in gray uniforms. Their skirmish line linked with 30 Mohawk warriors in the woods. The gunboats were positioned to fire with effect. Had it remained only to draw Wilkinson into a battle he did the sea. A little before 8 in the morning, the squadron was lit. An American patrol made contact with the Mohawks. Shots were fired, and the British immediately
So,
stood to.
show you a bit closer of this mural. It's got incredible
Safe and in his bed, did not react.
detail
Then at
of the
10:30,
battle.
Brown sent through. Orders were given to embark immediately. But now the state of British skirmishers and gunboats at last provoked the response Morrison had counted on. Wilkinson later wrote, directions were sent to Brigadier General Boyd to march upon the enemy, outflank them if possible.
At the bottom, it says, climax of the action of Crysler's Farm, 4:30 p.m., Thursday, November 11th, 1813.
Would come to a fight which began in earnest at 2 in the afternoon, when the 4th Brigade advanced to roll up the skirmishers. Morrison ordered his own columns forward, as the multi-sheriff stood waiting.
There is a bunch of, so you can buy some memorabilia here, cash only. Here's the prices, and the and all proceeds from the sale of these items will support the Friends of Crysler from the battlefield. There's another display here.
Simultaneously, I saw the enemy dodge from the trees, threatening the left of the 89. To England, Colonel Morrison changed front, placing his battalion at right angles to the 49 and facing the enemy, who now received the fire of the 89 and of the guns. This was more than the fort could bear, and they fell back to the edge of the woods. But on the British right, as Covington's brigade was run, 6 American guns arrived and began hammering the British main body. Their heavy arms could not be home, and the order came to
Here's a fun interactive map.
later. Morrison's second in command,
Hi.
Colonel Army Road. This
So is this like a, you just press the button and it shows you?
nevertheless,
Yeah, but not those buttons. Those buttons actually show you on the wall.
Oh, it shows you on the wall. Okay, gotcha.
The British charged and fought on the
Alright,
heavy and loud ground.
so buttons.
Sensing a moment of
That one does.
Doesn't work?
Yeah, the next one does. All other buttons.
That one. Oh, yeah, okay, I see. It lights up there.
To my no small anxiety, I saw a squadron of enemy cavalry.
If you walk across or close to the lights of the battlefield,
Yep.
starting from here over to here, and then continue down the other side over.
The other side of the
Okay.
road. Many saddles were empty. Here they went right above. When the cavalry swept from the border, the 89 pressed home the charge
You look at Tyra.
ended the battle with the capture of the gun.
See the red lights?
Morrison's
They
brigade
direct.
is a model of conciseness.
Nope.
He wrote, "We then immediately concentrated their force to check our advance."
Oh, there it is. Okay.
Was the steady countenance that
Look that up. Okay.
our troops and artillery. The they gave way at all points from an exceeding strong position.
Basically just where everybody
The
was.
battle of Crysler squadron was over.
Gotcha. Okay.
The Americans
This one.
lost over 100 dead, 237
Oh,
wounded,
okay, yeah, I see it. It
112
changed.
Morrison's official casualty returns: 22 killed, 148 wounded.
That one's all the way at the other end.
Oh,
You see the lights from the trees?
3 miles above.
okay, yep.
Wilkinson,
Oh.
perhaps without salt, attempt to decline to join them.
Four.
The campaign was ending in farce.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I see it's right there.
Morrison was again in his heels. Wilkinson sailed with
This
the
one.
and French news. Montreal
Okay,
and Upper
so
Canada
it's there.
were safe.
Over the front.
Yep.
That's basically the same picture.
Right?
The point is, this is where we are.
Yep. Okay. Yep.
This is where the actual battle is.
Oh, okay.
So we are not actually on the battlefield at
Gotcha.
all.
Okay. Nowhere near it.
Do you know where the marina is?
Yes.
The marina?
Yes.
Basically, there. If you go into the private marina,
Oh.
the waterway, and pretty much everything there,
Yep.
that way,
Mhm.
will be the actual battlefield.
Okay. I visited the Alteville train there, but I haven't gone into the actual marina. But okay, I didn't realize the battlefield was right at that marina.
Yeah, it's pretty much the marina area. It's like, here's the marina,
Yep.
the boats are all around here, of course. And if you just kind of go into the water and start going west, that is where you basically are going over the battlefield.
Okay. And is there anything there to look at?
Besides the marina?
Yeah. No? Okay.
No,
There's no.
there's nothing there.
Okay.
There's just underwater stuff.
Okay.
But it's really just a field that's underwater. Nothing really special there.
Oh, like original monument. So like, was this originally not underwater? Is that what you're saying? Okay.
So the reason why is actually, you see this, you like the greener blue?
Yep.
The greener blue was actually the original river. That's how much the river, before 1957,
Mm-hmm.
that is how much the river was. The lighter blue is the after 1958.
Wow. Okay. Okay. So they originally had a monument here, and then when that got flooded, they moved it over here. Gotcha. Okay. I had no idea that happened.
And also, it's kind of a symbolic gesture.
Yep.
You saw that hill where the monument is?
Yes.
That hill's all man-made.
Really?
It actually is dirt they picked from the Battle Re-enactments.
No way. Okay.
Brought it to the monument today.
Okay.
And made that hill.
Okay. That's a fascinating fact I did not know. I just assumed it was natural hill.
No, this all would have been flatland. I mean, this is all farmland. So
Yeah.
hills like that, you really don't.
Right.
So that's actually why we
Oh.
But
Well,
it
thanks.
is intriguing.
Thanks for sharing that. Yeah, I had no idea.
Is that when you did mention is there anything there? Is
Yes.
in '57 when they came to that when they were playing
Yep.
they actually drained the entire lake. So
Oh.
with the draining, they actually did find cannonballs, cannons,
Okay.
parts of boats from the Battle of Private Farm.
Okay.
Battles along the
Okay.
shore.
And have been saved and they're displayed anywhere? Or you can see them? No.
Most were actually left there, so
Oh,
taken.
okay.
But what's most St. Lawrence here could find old pieces of that. As well as currently, see this road here?
Yes.
So that used to be King's Road, or County Road. Well, this is the old County Road too.
Okay.
And parts of it actually kind of, because of the flooding,
Yep.
you could see parts of the road still today.
Okay. I'm also noticing like Cook's Tavern. I know that you can find that here. So they moved it from there to the Upper Canada Village, right? Okay. It's all coming together. All the.
Well, the thing is, by the way,
Yeah.
that the Upper Canada, so how the story goes
Yep.
is in '58 they knew by '58 they knew that they had to do everything because they knew this was going to happen.
Right.
The Battle Re farm was already in the area of flooding, so they knew they were going to have to move it to somewhere else so they could preserve at least the Battle Re farm.
Okay.
So when they did that, there was the other major issue during the time was this, because they knew what was going to flood, what wasn't going to flood.
Right.
There was about 6 whole villages that were going to be flooded.
Okay.
And the Canadian side,
Yep.
completely. We lost actually 6 whole villages.
Okay.
And so from there, in a way to kind of appease the people because they're losing their houses,
Yeah.
they're losing a lot of their heritage.
Yeah.
While they were making this, they bought basically this entire area for the monument. So they're like, hey, why not also make a village?
All right. So So all the buildings that are in Upper Canada Village were saved from over here.
Not just here, I mean, there's some, like the Cook's Estate, there's
Yep.
some other buildings around the Cook's town site. Some of the Crysler Estate was, but they go like all the way to Prescott and all the way to Kimball, these buildings. I would say.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Understood.
it's more than just.
Just there. Okay. Just part of it there. Okay.
But if you do want to know, because they were testing to see the feasibility about all this, the first building that was actually brought here was in town.
Okay.
It's also the closest building that they had ever tested.
Right. Wow. Okay. Starting. Yeah. No, it's making way more sense now. What I see over there. All right. Well, thank you. I wouldn't have picked up that up if you hadn't pointed that out to me.
So yeah, that's when you were mentioning the thing, are we on that for Battlefield? No. Battlefield mostly is on.
Okay. And they just sort of, because I know sometimes they would excavate and put in the museum or whatever, but they decided to just leave it
Well, there was
for the most part. Okay.
After 1812, it was used again as a farm. So
Okay.
the bodies were cleared, the guns, the guns were already gone, the bullets were gone.
Yep.
There's really nothing left on that field, simply because it was after all the way until 57 used as farms.
Okay. Is there a like cemetery or anything?
For the
Yeah.
ones who died?
Yeah. Did they just people just brought their family home kind of thing?
Pretty sure the people that died did not actually have any graves there.
Okay.
If you did,
Because there's that. Because I was always curious. There's the Pioneer Memorial. Is that at all related?
the battle?
Yeah. No. Okay.
The Pioneer Memorial relates to the. So, this is, as mentioned, the 6 historical villages.
Yep.
Of course, with those 6 historical villages, they had also cemeteries for all those villages.
Right.
So, in order to preserve the memory of those people, instead of just giving gravestones to basically be submerged, they took the gravestones
Yep.
and brought them as, continue basically their cemetery over here.
Okay.
So the Pioneer Memorial is basically coming from all the gravestones that were in along this.
Okay. Yeah, I'd always wondered about that. What the story was on that.
There are no bodies there.
Just the
There's no
stones.
bodies. What?
Just the stones.
Yeah, just the stones. There's no bodies at the memorial. There's no bodies at the church in the Canada village. All the bodies were remaining on where they actually were actually buried. They were encased in concrete because of the fact that some of those bodies possibly be without disease such as cholera and smallpox. So
Right. Different time.
Well, I mean, if you release that back to the population,
Yeah, no.
you're going to constantly problems. So, health and safety wise,
And there's something to be said to let people just rest in peace where they are, not move them.
be it underwater.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you. That was really interesting. Okay, so there's another courtyard over here. So on this wall it says Canadian Court of Honor. Big tree in the middle. Coat of arms. Another plaque, just kind of hard to see, the sun's shining on it. To commemorate the officers and men of the Upper Canada Militia who fought bravely in defense of the St. Lawrence Frontier, 1812 to 1814. And then it lists all the units and engagement dates. One more walk over here. So, to the glorious memory of more than 200 Canadian officers and men, detachments from the following units: Canadian Fencible Regiment, British Army Militia Artillery, Provincial Corps of Light Infantry, Canadian Voltigeurs, and then it lists the regiments, Indian Department of Upper Canada, and then who participated in the victorious action at Crysler Farm in November 11th, 1813. Right. So that over there is a fountain that commemorated a visit from Queen Elizabeth II. Just an added bonus of what's here. Okay, and then at the front, it just says Battle of Crysler Farm and the date, November 11th, 1813.
No, when the train comes, you follow us running after trains.
Well, I think they'll fire independence of America.
All right, so next we're going to go explore the federally buildings and the soldier display, and then we're going to walk up to the monument at the top of the hill. Okay, so let's just quickly show you. It's a really peaceful spot over here. That's just sort of an added bonus. There's picnic tables. Canada geese love to hang out here. And there's a lovely fountain. And yeah, it was put here to commemorate a visit from Queen Elizabeth II. Right, so if you just walk over here, it's not too far. Just over here is where the little federally building display is. So let's go check that out. Okay, so it's just a representation, and it is used in the battle reenactments that happen here every 2 years. If that is of interest to you, I will leave the website in my description so you know the year and dates that it happens here. So it's every second year. Okay, so there's your sign here. Crysler and Federley homes. The Battle of Crysler Farm was fought on farmland owned by the Crysler and Federley families. Their homes, represented in this play area, became part of the battle and were used for officers to meet as shelter and to care for the injured after the battle. Have a look out the window to see the nearby encampment. Right. So for fun, let's walk up to it get a closer look. And we can look through the window and look at the soldiers. Right, so this is what it looks like from the back. So it's kind of, again, fun for kids, and a neat display for the reenactments. And you've got, you can use this to see. And then if you, I'll just zoom in, we're going to go look at them in a second, but there's a soldier display over there. And there's a second one over here. Okay. So next, we are going to go over there where the soldiers are, and also point out that if you can see, there's train tracks. So the Upper Canada Village train ride comes all the way over here, goes around. I will be doing a separate video of the train ride, if that's of interest to you. You can see the area from a different perspective. And so here's another view of the memorial building that we just came from. So everything is a very short walk from each other. Oh, can you see in the distance? There is the train. It's coming by. Can you see it? So I will do a separate video of a train ride. All right. So, soldiers' encampment. During the War of 1812, soldiers traveled by foot or by boat to different places within Upper Canada. Often they carried only minimal supplies to stay warm and provide shelter, sometimes not even a tent. British soldiers stayed overnight on John Crysler's farm. The night before the Battle of Crysler's farm, have a closer look to see what the soldiers are doing. Picture. And once again, here's the train. So you can catch the train at right next to Upper Canada Village, and the cost is $8. All right. Well, let's go explore the soldier encampment. Yes, this is just a fun display to walk through. There's soldiers with their tents. Yeah, here's the Hot and fire for where they would cook their meals. Okay, so you can, if you wanted to, crawl inside, but not something I'm going to do. There's a view from the other side. And there's one last little display over here, kind of representing washing clothes. Right, now we're going to walk up the hill to the monument. It is a steep hill, but the view is of the St. Lawrence River and the monument is well worth the effort. Right, so there it is. It's a great view as you walk up. And then when we get to the top, you'll be amazed by the view. All right, we're almost there. All right, we've made it to the top of the hill. We are now going to go take a closer look at the monument. Okay, so monument in the center, there's cannons on either side, and then you've got a British flag on one side, Canadian flag on the other side. Okay, and there's some information written at the base on each side, so I will read that to you. In honor of the brave men who fought and fell in the victory of Crysler's Farm on the 11th November 1813, this monument was erected by the Canadian Parliament 1895. It's a view of one of the cannons. You got the British flag flying in the breeze. Okay, and then on the other side here, there's another plaque to read. Battle of Crysler Farm. Here on the farm of John Crysler was fought one of the decisive battles of the War of 1812. On November 11th, 1813, Lieutenant Colonel Joseph Morris, with 800 British and Canadian regulars, militia, and Indians, engaged an American force of 4,000 under Brigadier General John Boyd. The open terrain was suited to the training of the well-drilled British regulars who, after 2 hours of heavy fighting, routed the enemy. This victory ended a major American thrust at Montreal. So here's a view from the other side. Again, the British flag on one side, Canadian flag on the other side. View from the side. Closer look at the cannon. Okay, there's one more plaque here we can read. In commemoration of the 150th anniversary of the Battle of Crysler's Farm, this plaque is dedicated to the Canadian and American nations whose common memories of old, unhappy, far-off things and battles long ago not only contribute to their separate heritages and traditions, but form a bond between two friendly people. Okay, and then the view on this side. Okay, so that's the memorial building, the cannon. That is the memorial or fountain for Queen Elizabeth. And then over there, you've got the soldier display. And then further beyond these trees, not like it's like 5 to 10 minute walking distance from here, it's very close, is Upper Canada Village. And you can catch the Upper Canada Village train over here as well. Okay, and then lastly, I'm going to show you. So up here, you got a great view of the St. Lawrence River. You will almost always see both residential and commercial boats on here. It is a major shipping route. And then you can see at the base here is the train tracks for the Upper Canada Village train ride. So you will get a view of the St. Lawrence River from when you take that train ride. All right, so that's it for up here. So the last thing I'm going to show you in this video is, which is kind of a hidden gem, not many people are aware of it. So at the Upper Canada Village, there is a Discovery Center, which is located right next to where you buy your tickets. And there is another display of the Battle of Crysler Farm exhibit, where you can see even more information about this historic moment in Canada's history. All right, so now we're going to go check it out. Okay, we are now going to explore the Discovery Center, which is at Upper Canada Village, right next door. Let's go check it out. Here's the signs, so what we're going to go see. Wow. There's way more here. Incredible artwork. So, round shot. During the War of 1812, guns mostly fired solid iron round shot for destroying structures, men, and horses. Guns were known by the weight of their ammunition. The 6-pounder firing round shot, about 3 to 5 inches in diameter, was the most common field gun during the War of 1812. And here it is. Okay, and then the 3-pound field gun. This light field gun, typical of the smallest British artillery, would have been mounted on a wooden carriage or at the bow or bow of a boat during the War of 1812. The crest and number indicates the gun was the 97th cast during the reign of King George III. So here it is again. So, the climax of the action of Crysler Farm. Adam Sheriff Scott painted this mural in the 1960s to show the height of the battle and the coordination of infantry, cavalry, and naval maneuvers. Just show it to you a little more detail. Wow, you really have to come see it for yourself. The level of detail is incredible. So the reality of fighting this battle on their own land became etched in people's minds, the battlefield, a National Historic Site since 1920, has been underwater since the construction of the St. Lawrence Seaway in the mid 20th century. At that time, the memorial was moved to its present location, boldly facing the American side of the river. Here's some medals, a commemorative pin, and Wellington tokens. So that is a mortar. In 1958, Arthur Raymond found the large mortar shell in the riverbed of the Long Salt Rapids. General Wilkinson's army may have dropped it overboard when passing through the rapids after the Battle of Crysler Farm. Mortars of this size were not used during the battle, but smaller hollow shells known as shrapnel were fired, on loan courtesy of the Lost Villages Historical Society. So a model of a British gunboat. In November of 1813, a small detachment of gunboats commanded by Captain William Mulcaster attacked U.S. troops moving down the St. Lawrence River towards Montreal, exchanging some of the first shots in a conflict that culminated in the Battle of Crysler Farm. While many early gunboats were adapted commercial vessels, later versions were constructed by the military at Kingston's Naval Yard and elsewhere. By 1815, most of the gunboats used during the war had been retired. And here is a model of it. And here is an anchor. So it says, naval maneuvers of the British gunboats played an important role leading up to and during the Battle of Crysler Farm. 17-year-old Arthur Raymond discovered this anchor in 1858 when the Long Salt Rapids were drained, on loan courtesy of the Lost Villages Historical Society. So the battlefield of choice. Unfortunately for the local farmers, Federley and Crysler, the British commander selected their field as ideally situated between the river and the woods, a good choice for maximizing his army skills. Here's the map. A sketch of the Battle of Crysler's Farm, Williamsburg, Upper Canada. These are really neat. Another great view of the flags. All right, so the British commander, Colonel Joseph Morrison, had the benefit of well-trained and disciplined soldiers and the experience to select a battlefield site that would enhance his military tactics. So that's a picture of him. The invading army, having been outmaneuvered by the British, Wilkinson's troops could only reach the battlefield by difficult routes, across the ravine and muddy fields or through the forest. Despite the combined forces of the British Army, Canadian voltigeurs, the militia of Upper Canada, and Mohawk warriors, most or all from Tyendinaga, the Americans greatly outnumbered the defenders by approximately 3-1. So don't miss the chance to visit the Battle of Crysler Farm National Historic Site and the Battle Memorial Building located at the base of the commemorative mound. This building houses the original Adam Sheriff Scott mural, an interactive model of the battlefield, and 2 dramatic dioramas depicting the day of the battle. It is accessible via a walking path heading south from the parking lot or by car, free admission. Take a ride on our miniature train to reach the closest on land area near the historic battlefield and to see and hear more about the Battle of Crysler's Farm and the history of the St. Lawrence River. The local population lost more than the farmers' fields. The British Army took people's homes, burned their fences, and ate their food and livestock. The American Army occupied Cook's Tavern. John Crysler's house and outbuildings as they appeared in 1855. The battle took place on land between Lot 9 and 13 on the properties of several families by Benson J. Lossing, 1868. Tending the wounded, people's homes became hospitals for the surgery and treatment of injured soldiers. The Crysler's parlor served as the operating theater for Army surgeons William Woodford and John Corb. Women and children were told to hide as the company of voltigeurs and Mohawks scouted the terrain for the imminent battle. Around Peter Federley's land, they warned Mrs. Federley to go to the cellar with her young daughter, Catherine. Seeking compensation. Post-war claims from the local residents revealed the nature of the Army's impact on people's properties and goods: potatoes, grain, honey, and alcohol before the soldiers, hay for the Army's horses, and fences for the Army's firewood. So John Crysler submitted this claim for losses, which was approved on December 20th, 1823. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you would like to see more, check out my Upper Canada Village playlist. I have multiple videos about a tour of the village, the train ride, the Battle of Crysler Farm, Pumpkin Inferno, A Lighted Night, and more. If you enjoy videos about things to see and do in Canada, please subscribe to my channel. Until next time, happy travels!